Oh, we got a good topic here. Changing times means changing dynamics at the office, and the Census Bureau says there are now 4 different generations in the workplace today.
Yeah.
4.
Listen them out. We got baby boomers, Generation X, millennials, and the igen, which is apparently a thing. We left Generation Y off because they get mushed into 2 different groups, I guess. But we're talking about the best way to bridge the gap. So we've got Brook Chesnut, a baby boomer, and Anastasia Button, if I said that right, a millennial, who both work at the University of Denver at the Daniels College of Business. And you're trying to figure out, or help people figure out, how to navigate when you've got people from these very different groups working together.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
And communication sounds like it's a big thing.
Communication is a big thing because there's so many more boomers like me that are in the workforce that are now having to work with all of these younger people.
Right.
And they don't know how to connect.
Yeah.
But vice versa, these younger people...
Because they're not on Snapchat.
Correct.
Right.
They don't have a Snapchat account. But they are learning how to text better.
Yes.
Yeah.
But then the younger folks are trying to communicate with the older workers at the same time. And, you know, those millennials are trying to figure out how to connect with them. Gen X is in the middle. Then you've got igen, who's behind the millennials, trying to soak this all in and be effective as well.
So how do you take a bite out of this apple without breaking it down into essentially stereotypes? Because we were talking about this in the break, you know, you start talking about millennials and people, one of the first words is entitled, you know, and you start couching people in groups like that, I imagine it can get really dicey quick in a workplace.
Yeah, especially today, you know, I meet a lot of millennials like myself, you know, I say I'm a millennial and they're like, oh, I'm not a millennial. You know?
Yeah, it's already a stigmatized.
I'm not a millennial. They don't want to associate with millennials because it has such a bad name because of that word entitlement and stuff like that. So it's really trying to get people to understand people, not just a generation. It's, yeah, you were born at this time. The internet has affected you, yes. But what motivates you? What gets you to go to work every day? What gets you to connect with your boomers, your Gen Xers, and your other millennials or iGens? What is it that can get you to come to work every day and enjoy it and stay? It's not about the generations necessarily, but it's understanding where they come from.
And that work-life balance is interesting to me because boomers probably didn't have it all figured out, and millennials do in some respects. Is that fair to say?
Right, because again, the world has changed.
Yeah.
And we watched our parents and grandparents stay with one company for decades and retire. Today, these younger generations have so much going on. We talk about work-life balance, and what I said before is that they want more of a blend, where they can have all of these things together.
Yeah, like more flexible time. So some of this has to do with the employer's actual policies.
Right, they want to work remotely, they want to work whenever and wherever they want, and if they get the results done, then that really feeds their soul, and they love that.
Yes, especially, I mean, everybody wants to have purpose when they're at work. They don't just want to clock in, clock out, and go. That's a rare percentage of the population. Everybody in the world wants to be able to contribute to society, and that's something that businesses are starting to pick up on. Oh, you have a connection to us because we do charities in the community we're in, and that's just an extra aspect to bring in that blend that Brooke was talking about.
So what would be your biggest piece of advice to somebody who's watching this and they're like, oh my God, I am so frustrated with so-and-so at work, whether it be, you know, a millennial who's like, this person just doesn't get me, or you know, vice versa. I mean, how do you start to take a bite at that apple if you're actually in the workplace, even if you're not the boss? You know?
One suggestion that I would make is for the older generation to give them what the younger generation craves. Do you know what they crave more than anything?
What?
These younger workers?
I like money.
Of course you do. But what they
I went into journalism.
But seriously, the data suggests and is proven that they want feedback. They want constant feedback. And the pushback from my generation, the older folks, is, well, I didn't get that. I mean, why do we have to do it now?
I just went to work and did my job every day.
But if you think about it, these younger folks that do interns and they're new and they can get feedback right away versus waiting 30 days or 6 months for a review, let's give them snippets of acknowledgement. And if you do that, then you're connecting to what they really like, and that is this
They
feedback.
want to feel plugged in almost.
Plugged in, tell me how I'm doing, and that type of thing.
They Snapchat you, that's okay, Anastasia?
That's totally fine. I love the snapping.
All right, we're going to do that on our way out here. I appreciate you guys' time. Thank you very much.
It's really interesting, and it's great. I think they can all learn from one another. It's actually a good workplace with 4 generations now.
And
It
we just want to thank the University of Denver and the Daniel School of Business for having just an amazing facility for the seminar that we're doing in February 8th and 9th, day and a half, full seminar on thriving in the multi-generational workforce.
Cool.
Very good.
Love it.
All right. Lots of conversations to be
you.
had and understanding to be gained.
Enlightening.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
So.
All right, by
Thanks.
the way,